Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. My name is Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
All righty. Thanks to all of you listening live, and a big thank you to all our listeners on iTunes or on any of the other platforms where we make the audio available. YouTubers, if you like what we do, remember to hit that subscribe button below. You can also go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, which will be an insurance policy against missing a single episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. We like to start every episode with a segment we call What's Up? It's a time to check in with one another and find out what's going on in our personal lives. So let's see. How about up there? Hey, Rhonda, what's up with you?
I knew you were going to do that. Well, this week has been educational for me. Mom and I published our first workbook on Kindle, or not on Kindle, on Amazon.
Yay!
It's not an ebook. And so there was a lot of learning to do. And I'm sure that I've still got a few things, maybe ends that need to be wrapped up that I just don't know about yet. But they're coming to me slowly, one at a time. But I'm making a list for the next one so that I can just knock those out from the beginning. But yeah, so that's been what's up with me for the last week. That and trying to figure out a way to stay cool because it's been very hot.
Oh, you guys got some warm weather up there in the Great Lakes state, huh? What's that been like?
Well, we went from the 60s to the 90s.
How's your garden doing?
Lovely. Oh, everything is growing so nice. It's bushy and yes, because it's also, we've had rain on both ends of the heat too. So, heat and rain and the lightning for the nitrogen.
No, yes, we were talking about the nitrogen. It's very good for the plants. What about your plants, Bambina? They've been getting enough nitrogen from their bunny poo brew?
Oh, yeah. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah. What else is going on with you this week?
Well, I was telling you guys earlier that when I got in the car with my son the other day, he's 16, and he says to me, Mother, can I play my music through the Bluetooth in the car?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, whether it was like a Korean pop, techno, dubstep, rock and roll hybrid or something. But what came out of the speakers was Marty Robbins. And my husband was like, my parents used to listen to this when I was a kid.
How did your son even find Marty Robbins? How did he even find them?
He's got this playlist on Spotify. And he has every song by Marty Robbins on this one particular playlist. And we had gone to Amber's house for Memorial Day. So it was an hour there, an hour back. And that's what we have listened to.
Technology is so amazing. I can't believe you can think of a song that you would like to listen to and within seconds be listening to it. I mean, if you guys think about it, used to be people didn't hear music unless Paul played the fiddle. Do you know what I'm saying? It's bizarre how we can have these wonderful masterpieces blasted into our headphones in seconds. It's really cool. So
but
anyway,
now I have El Paso stuck in my head.
I love that song. I start singing it immediately when Tina mentioned Marty Robbins. It's the song, of course. And if you guys don't know it, maybe we can link to it. It's a really fun kind of a song.
Jamie.
No, it's too long. Although I would, for my What's Up, I will sing for you a cover version of. No, I won't. But I will say my What's Up is that I have been semi-successfully able to strum along to my own singing with the guitar, which is a new level of, whoa, I can almost do this. And I have a new appreciation for singer-songwriters now because they go on stage and they just play a song and don't make any mistakes ever. I'm like, how does that even happen to a person? I mean, I think I'm years and years away from being that good. It's like, wow. So anyway, that's my What's Up, is working on trying to be able to sing and play at the same time. What's up with you this week, Jen?
I don't know. I've been sitting here this entire time trying to figure out what I was going to say. And I went last and I still don't know what I'm going to say. Probably because I already told you guys everything going on in my life off camera. My garden is doing well. I'm only doing container gardening this year because of the move. and everything is going really, really well.
Didn't you
And
get a particular kind of tomato that you're very excited about?
yeah, I should take a picture. I was going to send it to you this morning, Jamie. So my favorite, and I believe Jamie's is now too, a pineapple tomato, which is a pinkish
Mm.
yellow tomato, and they get huge and they are so sweet. And I got 5 of them this year, which is a lot. Because the one year I got it, we only got a couple of flowers on it, but it was my first year growing it. Already one of my 5 has 7 flowers on it. So
Yay!
yeah, so I cannot wait. But it's been a good week for me overall, writing and editing and homeschooling. Everything has actually gone really well. And the house is coming along slowly, but it's coming along. So God is good in every area. I cannot complain about anything. I mean, I can. Let's be honest.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to talk a little bit later about this progress on your book, because we know that you're in editing HE double hockey sticks, just like me and Tina right now. So that'll be really cool to hear about later. What's going on with our chatters? Anything in the what's up with them?
A little bit. So Robin says that their deck is 95% complete.
Yay!
Front porch work has been started as well,
Oh.
and Bellwood Publishing launches its 2nd book tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Yay! Congratulations. Shell says, nothing much, working on a blog post for the weekend, working on a reading summer challenge. Ooh.
Oh, that's
I never do those. I am like, especially with this, and then 20, like, there's, you know, like, maybe not.
Is Jennifer glitching?
Still.
Oh, good. I thought it was me. And so I was sitting here being really quiet. And then I saw Tina and Rhonda's faces kind of go, I think something is wrong. So Jennifer is now done with her share impression. Oh, Rhonda, you're muted, so we didn't hear you. What'd you say, Rhonda?
I said we should all just try to pretend to know what Jennifer said.
I know. We can just, yes, let's pretend. Jennifer said, and I quote, "You all had better get your rough drafts published tomorrow." No, that's not what she's saying. All right. So it looks like she'll be popping back in with us later. I see that Piper, I don't have the handy anything to pop Piper's actual words up there, but she says, sending out a newsletter today, battling carpenter bees at my house. Oh no, see, I have a wood house. That would make me very unhappy. And visiting with my daughter home from Europe, socially distanced most of the time. Yeah. Jason Marsh says he's been working on a gap in the story and slowly filling it in. Hasn't been able to write much this week. Really busy. Yep, we all have those busy weeks. And I think that catches us up with our chat room. So we're almost ready to dive into the topic. Hopefully we'll get Jennifer back in here to contribute soon. But we're having a lot of fun today talking about ARC readers. And I decided to be funny and call the episode Readers of the Elusive Arc, because it seems to me, I'm just saying, I came to writing and publishing, like I'm going to write a book, I'm going to publish a book, end of story. And all of this talk about like launching and beta and alpha and gamma and delta and arc can be really kind of confusing. And I found that for a while, I was using the terms interchangeably incorrectly, because I really just kind of didn't understand the difference. How did you guys feel when you were introduced to all these bizarre acronyms?
I don't know. It didn't slip me up too much. I've got a lot of things that slip me up, but that just happens to be one thing that didn't.
Do you think it's because of your copy editing background and your being kind of used to stuff being shorthanded and stuff like that?
It's possible. But just when they call it advanced reader copy, that makes sense to me. But also I've seen, I buy almost all my books at thrift stores.
Okay.
And a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but many times you find a book there that says not for sale, advanced reader copy. And those are actually from a publisher.
Wow.
And so those are kind of fun to read too, especially if I've already read the published book, just to see if there's any changes. I've only found one where I found the advanced reader copy, but it was
So did you notice anything glaringly different? I mean, like a plot change or a character name change or anything?
Well, it seemed to me like one character became a little bit more dramatic.
Wow. And then that leads to questions too. I wonder if traditionally published authors then are beholden to feedback that they get after they put out an art copy, or if those decisions are up to them to make. It's really, I'm very curious about that. Tina, did you have any confusion about all of these acronyms being lobbed around when you first got into the biz?
Yeah, at the beginning, I thought that beta readers and ARC readers were the same thing. It's kind of in my mind, it was all mushed together.
Yes, and I think that unlike Rhonda, I just never really thought too much about what the individual words were. Duh. I just kept hearing beta, ARC, and people talked, and I'm like, well, I guess if I want to pretend I know what's going on, I'm going to use these terms too. But they are very different things. Jennifer, you're back.
Can you hear me?
We're so happy that you're back. Yes, we can hear you. And in fact, you're kind of just in the nick of time because we're just really kind of getting into it. What would you say is a basic definition of an ARC reader, Jen?
I normally call them, what is it that I call them? I don't call them ARC readers. I call them my street team. Yeah, I call them my street team. So for me, an ARC reader is my book is done. And before I release, the book is ready to publish. I probably have a published date set and I've advertised it. And then my ARC team will get the books in advance to read so that I have reviews on day one so that they can share on social media. They can help me promote it. And in return, they get an advanced copy for free of the book, an advanced ebook copy of the book. So for me, an ARC reader is your cheerleaders.
Well, that's really cool. And that leads right into the first question is like, why would you want to hand out copies of your book? Like, okay, a normal person would be like, what? Give away my book for free? I just spent all of this blood, sweat, and tears. But you hit upon a couple of really good reasons why you might want to do that, right?
I mean, you can either give away your book for free or you can spend money on advertising.
Good point.
If you want to make money with your book, if you want to get it into other people's hands, if there's not some sort of miracle like you release your book and the world gets to see it. It doesn't work that way. So you're either going to put money out into advertising. I would argue you should probably do both, but you're either going to put money out into advertising or you're going to put some blood, sweat, and tears into something that's really good and then give it away for free in exchange for advertising.
Yes, because what we don't really talk about with new writers, especially people who are inclined to be independent, is that all of these jobs are yours. Marketing the book and getting it edited and ready for readers is all your job. So writing the book is only the first leg of that marathon. So why get ARC readers? I see that so it says you could build a super fan base, right? Mm-hmm. And we want to pick people who are enthusiastic and excited about the book or about books in your genre. I mean, like, do you think it's important that you pick people who are excited about your particular book or just people you know? Like, help me out there.
Well, I'll tell you, last week I sent out some advanced reader copies. And we're expecting them to have no issues, nobody to come back saying, we forgot to put anything on 17 pages, whatever. But what I do hope to get back is reviews, good, bad, or ugly, whatever, just for Amazon to know that people are looking at the book and basically to see if it really helps the people that I send it to. Because everybody I sent it to, as far as I know, has a different writing style. And I think they're all plotters. I'm curious if a pantser would be able to use it. But anyway, so that's why I chose the people that I chose.
Yeah. Awesome.
You don't want it to be people that you know, mostly because Amazon really frowns upon it. They have it in their terms of service that you cannot buy reviews. You cannot have family and friends. They will remove reviews of family and friends. So but it's hard because you put out there that you put out a book and people that you know read it, whether you ask them to or not. And those people will also give you a review sometimes, whether you ask for it or not. Plus, it's okay to have your readers that are in your Facebook page, it's okay to have them give you reviews as well. So it's kind of it's kind of hard. So I've heard of authors having reviews removed for the wrong reasons, but still, like, so you don't want to go after asking just the people that love you, like your family and your friends, to do this. You need to look outside of that group for sure.
Awesome.
Kind of a fan group of a guy who writes post-apocalyptic stuff, and it's like a private group that you have to join on Facebook, so it's not open to the public kind of group. And he asks for ARC readers all the time.
Okay.
Out with books quite often, but he has like you have to be caught up with this. It's a series, so you can't be an ARC reader unless you're caught up with the series.
I think that's a really good tip for those of us who are also avid readers. If we have a independent published author that we're really excited about and we really enjoy reading their stuff, maybe we could offer to be an advanced review reader for them, because it's writers helping writers. You see what I'm saying? I would only recommend this, of course, if you're really excited about the person. I mean, it's almost sort of like campaigning for someone, isn't it? You're saying everyone should read this book. And that's the attitude that you want your advanced review team, your advanced readers to have. You want them to be enthusiastic and excited. We've talked about super fans, people who already love this genre or are going to love your book because it matches their other interests. But what about those pay or, submitting to reviewing websites? I know some, they ask you to submit with money or without. What do you guys think about that? Is that the same as an advanced review reader?
I think that anyone who does it for a profession or who's a bookstagrammer or a book blogger, I think I would still consider them ARC readers, because you have to get an advance copy to them, which is another reason why you really should have a launch schedule. You should have a launch plan, because some of those reviewers that you really want to get their hands on your book, they request a 3 to 6 month or longer lead time.
Oh, and here you think you're going to publish next week, but you really want, the book babe or whoever to do your book review. And so you now are backed up, right?
Right.
Well,
and
that's something. Go ahead.
I think there are some paid pages that are legitimate, but I would proceed cautiously. And I think we're going to talk a little bit later about how to find ARC readers and beta readers.
That's my next transition point. But before we get on to that, I do want to say, we talked about during planning, we need to have another launch episode, because after having been through launches and evaluating what I might do in the future, we think this is a topic that we need to revisit. So be looking forward to that episode on the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. But for today, we want to talk about, okay, sounds really great. We're going to have these advanced readers. They're going to be excited about our book. They're going to be so happy to get a free advanced copy that they're going to go running to Amazon to leave a review. How do we find these unicorn people? Help.
All right. Well, I can go first.
Go for it.
I hit up first my Facebook group.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page, and from that page, there's a Facebook group that people have to request to join. And it started off with just people I knew. And I talked about that before. If you want to go back and look at one of our older episodes, I talked about how I grew that Facebook group originally before I was even published. I had nothing to publish, and I already had like 70 some people in that group. And I explained that in an earlier episode. But now there's people that all the time ask to join it because they found my books. And then at the back of my books, I have this Facebook group, and they want to be in the group. So that's the first place I go to. And then I hit my email list next. That just works for me. Some people only have an email list, or they hit the email list first. But for me, that works for me. It's kind of like a lot of the people that are in that group, they're supposed to also be in my email list. And so it kind of like hits them up twice for them to try to see it. So that's where I start off, is those two places.
Great. Those are really good.
Piper brought up something called Book Sprout. I've heard some of you mention that before, but I don't know what that is. So does anybody know it well enough to explain it?
I like the name.
Okay.
And now I want an egg roll. I want some bean sprouts now that I've heard Book Sprout.
It's going on my list then of things to look up.
Yeah. Well, and I also just want to point out, Sage in the comments is talking about she's been made redundant in her job, and we're all going to be praying for her. Just want to, I'm not always able to follow the chat, but sometimes things pop up in my peripheral vision. So, Sage, just want to let you know I'll be praying for you there. Okay.
Piper
And
also suggesting story origins for arcs. I've never used them before either.
oh,
It says Robin's agreeing. Oh yes, story origins is great for managing your arc team. So that's something to look into. Maybe we should look into that and see about doing a whole podcast about this kind of thing. But
oh, yeah, I like that idea.
I would
All right.
caution though, like I kind of mentioned earlier, all these things are great. I don't know if those cost money or not, but like friends and family, again, just be very careful. Like if friends and family read your book and give you a review on their own, great. But I would not ask people that are your friends and family to give you reviews.
If you're going to ask a favor of friends and family, you can ask them to recommend your book to others, to give your book as gifts, to promote your book on their social media. So if they're wondering how they can be helpful, that might be an alternative to having them leave a review for you.
And this may be genre specific because my peeps tend to be 65 plus, so they tend to be on Facebook, not on other social media platforms. Though I do have a few people that follow me on Instagram religiously. But the best thing for me is when somebody, whether it's a family or a friend or someone in my group or whatever, posts a picture of themselves reading the book or saying, "Oh my gosh, I just finished this," and a picture, and they share it on Facebook. All of a sudden I get a lot of traffic from that. So I appreciate that more than anything, because it's not just them sharing my post, which a lot of people do that, and I appreciate that, but showing them, like I had a friend that was on a cruise, and she took a picture of herself sitting on, like, you could see the book and you could see her feet like at the end of like the beach chair, and that got a ton of interaction. And there was another person that was I don't remember. There's like, so that kind of thing helps a lot too. So ask your friends and family to do that. Just take a picture of them. One person was in the bookstore and saw my book in real life and were like, "Oh my word." And that brought a lot of action. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely ask your family and friends to do that. That helps.
Yes, especially the ones that expect to be given a free copy just because they're your friend or family. You can say, "Well, this book is an $18.99 value, but for you, in exchange for some social media or something like that, it's fair enough to work out those kinds of things." It was Maria. She said that another helpful way to get reviews is to ask an author to do a book review swap. That could work out okay if you really have a good relationship. You want to watch out though, because what if they don't reciprocate, or what if you hate their book and now you have to write a tear it up kind of a review? Like, see, I get all in my head about this stuff. So anyway, proceed with caution, but that is a wonderful idea. Go ahead, Jen.
It's a great idea, but another thing I would caution too, like Jamie and I, we love each other's writing. However, we have different audiences. So we do share each other's work, but I'm not sure how helpful it is, because the readers of Jamie's work probably don't care about romance and vice versa. So we do that because we love each other, but you have to be very like strategic about who you choose to do that with. And again, make sure that you actually know, just like with newsletter swaps, make sure you know the author and make sure you know what they write and you've read it, because that could end disastrously just to gain a few extra readers, which I don't think it's worth it to have your reputation marred by the wrong, like not having the right connection there between the two authors. That be my
Maria says also traditional authors need review too, especially small presses. So the takeaway is, y'all, if you read a book, go leave a review. Now the problem I have is that sometimes I don't have anything nice to say, and I know that you guys keep saying even a negative review is appreciated, but seriously, I really do not review books, and it's mostly because if I reviewed every book, I would be forced to leave a negative review every once in a while, and I just don't want to. So really, you really want me to go in there? I would like to see in the chat people who said, if I read your book and absolutely hate it and want to tear it apart like Roger Ebert, that you really do want me to post that review. Because when we tell our friends and family, oh, even a negative review is okay, do we really mean that? I totally am curious to know the answer. So what do you, Jen, would you really want someone to come and tear your book up in a review?
Not someone that loves me. That would be hard. But I do want people to tear my book apart if they hate it. I want an honest, because people, that adds legitimacy. If you only have positive, which right now I only have positive reviews, and I feel like maybe people look at it and go, "Oh, she knows all these people," and I don't. I do not know half the people that have left reviews on my books, but there's no legitimacy there. But a person I love, I don't want them to be that honest. And I do believe in the writer's code. If you are a novelist, you don't review a book that you don't like, because it's just it's your authors. It's different because there's a few reasons why. First of all, it can give you a bad reputation, because people might think that you're only attacking that person out of jealousy or competitiveness, which I don't understand. There's enough readers in the world for all of us, but some people are like that. It can backfire on you, and it could hurt someone, because when an author gives a review, it has different weight than if it's just another person out there that's reading. So my code personally, and I've heard other writers say the same thing. If I don't like the book, I don't give a review. So if now, don't, like those in the chat, I probably haven't read your book. So if I haven't reviewed, don't think that's because I hated your book. I just haven't taken the time to read a lot of outside of my genre recently. So
yeah, I think I personally am just maybe not giving reviews anymore.
that's fine.
I know it's terrible, but I mean, I just kind of feel like it helps me to just, I don't know, whatever. That's
and the long
that's something for me to just work about.
I really like what Sage said. She said she used to do review posts on her blog, but quickly realized she prefers to do recommendations rather than reviews. That way, if she hates it, she doesn't have to tear someone else's work up.
Better. Yes, that really helps. Okay, that's a good way to put it.
I just love Sage's heart. I feel like every week she like shares something that like is like, yeah, and I just like, yeah. Yep.
Very encouraging.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Hey, we didn't talk about beta readers. We promised last week that we were going to know how to find beta readers too.
We're talking about how to find these unicorns, right? Like a beta reader. Oh my goodness. That is worth more than gold to get somebody to get your head straight before you push publish. So how do you find beta readers, ladies? First person to read your copy. Frankly, I'll tell you, I don't have what's called a beta reader, but I have 2 editors, and they are on a rotating basis based on who's available. But my first editor is always the same person. And this person is also who I kind of consider my beta reader, because that's the kind of feedback I end up getting, even though I didn't ask for it. And the combination that works well for me is somebody who is like very pragmatic. This sentence does not work grammatically. Do you know what I mean? Because then they can point out the robotic on paper reason why it's not working, and then I can go in and do artsy fartsy flourishes and fix it or not, right? So I like that kind of a person to evaluate my writing. I'm not looking for someone who's super creative and what if you had the person do this, and what if you, because I don't want that anymore. Now I just want, this is a problem that needs fixing. So for me, I like a Mr. Fix-It sort of a beta reader. What do you guys like? Do you want to hear what an amazing story?
No.
Are you looking? Yeah. What do you want from a beta reader?
Useful criticism. I don't want meanness, but I don't want to be told, oh yeah, that's fine. That'll do. I want it to be the best I can do.
You want it to be helpful feedback, right? Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like writing group.
Writing group.
I would suggest that if you're not part of, we talk about this all the time too, you need to be in a writing group. You need to be in an accountability group and a writing group that will give critiques. And so that would be my first place I would look for beta readers. Not ARC readers, it's different, but beta readers. Now, we also talked earlier about paid websites. Readsy has a paid platform. It is, you cannot pay for reviews, right? Nothing saying that you can't pay for ARC readers. So Readsy has, I've never used it. So but everything I've ever seen with Readsy, they are a good company that are well vetted. They don't just like, they're not out just to make money. They make sure that the people that are on there are legitimate. But you pay a fee per book, and they put it out there for a host of people to look at, to beta read for you. And so I think that's, I would probably consider that. If you can't find any beta readers, I think it would be a good investment towards your career. Anywhere else you can think of?
I just want to say this chat is a great resource if you're finding a
Yes.
kindred spirit or somebody who reads in your genre. Maybe you would want to make a reach out, but just be careful. I mean, we don't want to cause any trouble or drama. But you know, you guys could in the chat just kind of shout out, "Hey, anybody? I've got some free time. I'd love to read something new. I like this genre and that genre." And volunteer yourself. So be the change you wish to see. There should be more people willing to be beta readers. Well, then sign yourself on to be a beta reader and help a sister or brother out and help them get their book to be the best that it can be. I would also say not to ask everybody in your writing group to be a beta reader. We're talking about people. We've talked about the qualifications of a beta reader. So rewind and listen to that episode a week or two ago and pick people who are going to give you the feedback that you want and need, because otherwise the beta readers aren't going to serve you. All right. Do we have anything else to say about readers of the Elusive Arc? Anyone?
Just to clarify the difference, your beta readers are not giving you reviews. Please do not ask a beta reader to give you a review because it puts them in an awkward position. Think about it. If you've asked me to beta and I'm giving you, like the ladies have said, they want a good, honest critique that's polite, but is like honest because you want the best work to put out there, right? If you ask them to do that, then don't turn around and ask them to give a review, because then what if like that critique they gave you, you don't want that in a review, right? Because you're going to fix all those things. So it's two different things. So I guess like ultimately be a good person. Don't be a jerk. Don't put somebody in a bad position. So ultimately that's why we had to have this episode. ARC readers, beta readers, they're not the same thing. Know the difference and love them both with differently.
Yes, these people are worth more than gold to you, because people who are excited about what you're writing and what you're doing are going to spread that excitement to their friends. And before you know it, that means sales for you as an indie writer. And that's what we would like. Okay. Is all hearts clear now on the topic? We can move on to the feeding of the backs. What? The what? Well, this is where we give each other only positive feedback, because we have written these little sprints, we call them, in only 15 minutes, which means they haven't gone through any beta reading or editing or any of that stuff. So we're just going to we sprinted today based on 5 individual words. The goal is to use all of those words in your sprint. And what are the words, Jennifer?
The words are ignore, horseshoe, habit, pattern, and employ.
Pattern. Oh, I did remember pattern. Oops, I thought I got all 5 words, and then for a minute I forgot about pattern. Okay,
I did
Jen.
not get all 5, and I did not get to the end of this story, and I'm so like I wanted like another 20 minutes. But
all right. Well, I always make you go first, so no reason to deviate today. So hit us.
Okay. Now, the word that Jamie hated the most is the one that I made sure I fit in first. The horseshoe should have been her first sign that this was a bad idea. As soon as she entered the gym, she spotted it, hanging over the clock like a bad omen, mocking her stupidity. The upside-down horseshoe pointed toward the most ominous piece of equipment in the room, the second hand. Anywhere else in the world, a minute lasts for a mere 60 seconds, but in a fitness center, where the passage of time drags slower than a Buick missing its back 2 tires, the second hand traveled at a completely different pace. Trying her best to ignore the growing gurgling of apprehension in her stomach, she made her way to the front desk. A group of young people, the kind you would expect a place like this to employ, scantily dressed, lest the muscles they worked so hard on might go unnoticed if covered by a full-size t-shirt and shorts, laughed with one another.
This is so funny.
Marnie tried to convince herself that they weren't laughing at her, since they hadn't even noticed her arrival or the fact that she stood at their desk waiting to be helped. But that little voice in her head that controlled most of her self-confidence tried to argue otherwise. She wouldn't let that voice win this time. She was going to do this, at least for today. After that, no promises. Excuse me, she said in a quiet, squeaky voice she didn't recognize coming from her throat. She cleared her throat and tried again. Hello, could you please help me? They turned shocked eyes toward her, eyes that scanned her from head to toe, then offered a stiff smile. One learned in their company training, Marnie assumed. I'm sorry, hun, the petite blonde said. Didn't see you there. What can I do for you? Shoot me, she thought. Yeah, I have a membership here, but I've lost my card. A look skidded across the young girl's face that said, I've never seen you before, but the girl quickly recovered. Sure, I can help you with that. 10 minutes later, Marnie found herself, new card in hand, scanning the workout room. 3, 2, 1.
Mm.
Yay!
Is this baseball, Marnie?
love this voice. I love this voice.
What'd you say, Rhonda?
Is this baseball, Marnie?
I-
Isn't that your...
I think that is the name of the baseball. It wasn't supposed
knew
to
the
be.
name.
The names last week I couldn't remember. I think it was Lena. Now I think it was Lena. When you're in the middle of a sprint, you can't remember, right? And you can't stop. So I just kept going with it. I was thinking of my sprint from last week and about that, like just the sassiness. And I'm like, all right. So the horseshoe again, unedited, right? So I start off with the whole horseshoe upside down. And the superstition of it is it's got to be upright. But I didn't put that in the story. And if you don't know that superstition, then it kind of is like, why is it a bad omen? Why is she talking about the horseshoe? It just seems kind of random.
Got it. I loved it. I love that whole thing. That was amazing. And actually, too, I thought about the idea that sometimes horseshoes are the shape of a magnet and like it's magnetizing the clock and maybe pulling the second hand backward in time. Do you know what I mean?
Great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you could really sit there for like, she is great. This voice and this character, she is going to be a blast to read. I really enjoy that.
Right.
I'm a
Thank
big
you.
fan of Snarky.
Yeah.
So, and it really had that kind of feel. So I really like that.
I'm a big fan of Snarky too, but I love that in this piece here, we start to see that she's not so confident inside. Like she had a whole lot of confidence in the other story. So like I love the multi-layered characters. So
Well, see, I think that snark for me is a coping mechanism for when I just don't fit the mold, right? So it's like, I didn't want to be a part of your little crowd anyway. And then the snark comes out, you see. So that's, I think, why I love it so much is because she's just like, yeah, I know I'm not a beauty pageant contestant. And what are you going to do about it? Here I am to work out. Do you know what I mean? I just love it. I just love that she's so self-aware. Great work. All righty. Well, I'll go next. Mine is very short, and then it's not me so much talky all in a row. So here we go. Spitting's a dirty habit. I know a worse one. Kevin removed his finger from his nose and wiped it on his pants. I don't want to play this anymore. Why not? Because you always get to be Willy Wonka, and I'm tired of being all those kids. Those were bad kids. I'm a good guy. If you say so. Kevin chose to ignore this remark. Let's play something else. But I like Willy Wonka. You just like wearing your stilt buckets. As if to confirm this accusation, Stephanie lifted the ropes attached to the inverted green miniature plastic pails and took 2 scuffle-clop steps toward Kevin. Kevin, you never... it's just that you always, she lurched forward, then veered at the last minute and recovered her balance by executing a rather complicated looking horseshoe pattern maneuver. It was obvious that scolding her brother and operating the stilts were a feat she had yet to master. Kevin decided to press through this opening. Why don't we go inside the house and get some lemonade? I'm not thirsty. Come on, Mom made it from real lemons. As opposed to what, plastic ones? No, she didn't get it from a packet or a canister. So, Kevin sighed. This was getting him nowhere. As a last resort, he decided to employ a bit of reverse psychology. Okay, you're right. The lemonade is probably sour anyway. Really? Yeah, real lemons. They're super sour compared to the drink packets, and Mom never uses enough sugar. She does so. Nah, Mom's usually pretty terrible at making lemonade, as a matter of fact. She is not. Is too. In fact, I bet that lemonade in there is so sour you couldn't swallow 3 gulps of it. Can too. And just like that, the bucket stilts were abandoned, and Kevin was on his way into the house for a cool, refreshing glass of lemonade. The end.
Love.
Oh, me too.
Jamie.
Very clever use of getting the word horseshoe into your
Yes.
story.
Thank you.
Blue ribbon for that one.
And
I have conquered my nemesis.
I forgot to grab a pencil too, but I wanted to write down that line, Scuttleclod. Great,
Oh, yeah.
great line. Like,
Thanks.
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love these
But-
characters and
Yeah.
the
Such a
picking of the
genuine
nose.
relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, the picking of the nose was the best because, all right,
Yeah.
you can argue whether it was the best or not, but I say it's the best because it made it very, very real, right?
Mhm.
Who wants to like be witness to that or read that or write that? But that's life, right? You're going to see someone pick nose in real life. So when an author chooses to do something like that, like it just
Mhm.
brings more genuineness to the piece, and I just love it.
Well, I haven't been following in the chat, but did you guys know that that's actually a scene in the Willy Wonka? Like Gene
Yeah.
Wilder talks about you can spit in several different colors, and I think it's violet. She's picking her nose, and she's like, "Spitting's a dirty habit," and he's like, "I know a worse one," and that always stuck with me from the movie. So the minute I had to write about habit, that just popped right out. So that's the whole thing is because of the word habit. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
I picked that up right away. Yeah, I was like, "Yep, that's right out of the movie." They're reenacting it.
So Gigi says, "Great hook. Your stories are so good."
Thanks.
Piper, LOL. I want to know the age difference there. He is slick. Yes, I agree. Very, very slick. Fun stuff. Nice hook, Jamie. This is. I've heard the opposite for horseshoes. The heels should be pointing down so the good luck falls on anybody underneath. I've heard. So I always learned it had to be up to catch the good luck. So I mean, I don't believe in that stuff, but I just think that kind of stuff's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's whichever way you like, right?
Yeah.
Turn it sideways. Have two. Have one going this way and one going that way, and an up and a down one. Now you have a cross. Okay. Anyway,
I
I'm
prefer
way
them
off
on the
topic.
bottom of a horse out in the middle of a field riding.
That's the best luck right there.
Oh, you don't
Right
want
there.
horseshoes hanging on your wall, Jen?
I wouldn't mind, but it's been a long time since I've been riding, and now
I
I'm
wouldn't
getting all
mind
this
having a
stuff.
horseshoe if it belonged to someone in my family or something like that, like a rusty old one. I've got a butcher knife hanging on our wall that belonged to somebody in the way back. I just think it's cool. Okay, whatever. I'm totally bunny trailing us. Sorry about that. Okay, so we haven't heard from Rhonda or Tina. Who should go next, Jen? I'll let you pick who's next.
I want to hear Tina. She's very
All
quiet today.
right.
Okay, I want to preface this by saying that I was watching British television last night,
Oh,
so I think that it came out in my story.
you're saying that you write with a British accent?
Well, I don't know about that.
She spells with a British accent.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Francesca decided to ignore the men playing horseshoes on the lawn and made her way through the hedgerow into the flower garden. It was a perfect summer day. The sun bathed everything in its light and warmth, and a breeze out of the north was just right to cool one's skin as they walked. It was normally Francesca's habit to take a brisk morning walk, but with all the visitors on the estate, there was just too much to do, and she'd been unable to get away. A large fat bumblebee meandered lazily through the rose blossoms, drunkenly searching for more nectar. Priscilla made her way to her favorite apple tree and picked an apple from the branch. Not quite ripe for picking, the apple was tart, and Priscilla's mouth puckered when she took a bite, but the juice was refreshing on her tongue. She spread her blanket out on the grass beneath the shade of the tree's branches and sat down, pulling her embroidery from her bag. As the minutes wore on, the hoop with the colorful pattern of the family crest lay still upon her lap. The sounds of the men shouting and laughing at their games drifted like the breeze. Branches rustled with the touch of the wind, and birds sang their lovely tunes. Priscilla closed her eyes and soaked in the pleasure of such a peaceful, perfect moment. Her reverie, however, was soon broken by the sound of running feet and the gasping of an out-of-breath servant. It was Annie. Annie had been in Priscilla's employ for only a short time, but in that time Priscilla had come to understand that Annie was a bit tightly wound. "Mum!" Annie gasped. "Mum! Yes, what is it?" Priscilla said a bit too harshly. She pinched the bridge of her nose. "I'm sorry, Annie. Calm down and tell me what is wrong." Priscilla wished the girl's northern accent wasn't quite so irritating to her, or the way she wrung the edge of her apron between her hands. "Cook is in a frenzy," Annie said. "The goose hasn't come, and the pudding has fallen." "I'm coming," Priscilla replied with a sigh, putting her embroidery back in her bag and rising to rejoin the real world.
I was there. I mean, the apple was still tart. Juice was refreshing. The lazy fat bumblebee. I mean, like amazing. I was totally there. Wow.
Yep. Were you watching Upstairs, Downstairs yesterday?
No, it was this. I don't remember what it was even called. It's the name of a town, and this young girl goes to stay with some people in this town by the beach.
Okay.
And anyway, the thing I'm most worried about is that wasn't a northern accent. I don't know if it is or not.
What's interesting to me, Tina, is I know you're talking about Priscilla and everything like this, but I feel that with a little bit of careful changes, you could make this sort of a scene from your Southern plantation story, because there are servants in that story also, and that is a scene that would have occurred, like a beautiful sort of relaxing day doing embroidery. Do you know what I mean? I really thought that maybe you were setting a picture from that storyline for us.
Me too.
Because I totally felt antebellum South, like, oh, the waving willows and all that. But maybe it's because I'm in the South right now. But
well, it's
I'm
funny
saying
because I was actually reading in my research. I was actually reading that the Appalachian language that they speak is the closest to Elizabethan English in the United States.
Right. So next time y'all make fun of a hillbilly, just remember
and how we wore
that's
our
who you are.
clothes. We wore our clothes. We put Earl in the car.
No, they don't. No, the R's are not. No.
Yeah, we
There's
wore
no
them.
No worshing. No.
That's a Missouri thing. My family's from Missouri.
Or west.
Sage says, Tina, I'm in awe of your descriptive abilities.
too.
Oh, that's
Michelle says, great imagery, Tina. Just skipping around here. Tina, you're saying so perfect. I felt like I was there. Piper says, a bit tightly wound. LOL, I love that. Sage says, speaking of mom, I once did a find and replace to change mom to mom and ended up with happy mummets as well.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, well, a happy moment is when everybody feeds themselves dinner, right?
Yeah.
That's a major happy moment. I think I'm going to take that and use it, Sage. I think you've just added a new word to my dictionary. Happy moments on Mother's Day. Breakfast in bed is a happy moment.
That's awesome.
Okay, but I would really like help from our British friends, because there's an accent somewhere in England where they say ma'am and they sound like they're saying mom.
Yes.
Mom
and I
or
don't know.
Mom. It sounds like mom.
Yeah,
I think it
that's
might
what
be
I was
London.
going for, but I wasn't quite, like, it was a sprint. I probably would have
Right.
Googled it, but anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely would have
so
gone
funny.
down a rabbit trail, right?
I
We all
totally
would've.
know, Tina, because I've been like, are they calling her mom? And then I've been like, oh, they're saying like mom or a variation thereof.
Yeah, and it's a regional dialect from somewhere.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
made it to North, but I could be wrong.
I've been looking, because I'm weird, at different dialects like Pidgin, which is sort of like a half English. And also I wrote down the other one, starts with an E, but yeah, there's some really interesting whatever about dialects. Squirrel. Okay. So Rhonda, we still have not heard your sprint. And by the way, all of this wonderful feedback about the sprints. Thank you guys so much. We want to read yours. If you guys are doing these sprints, please link them to one of our social media sites. We're actually assigned roles. Like, someone's going to check Twitter. Like, we're not going to ignore you. We want to see your sprints. So please send us a link to your personal blog or wherever you're going to post your sprint. And we would be happy to let you know what we think of your efforts. So what do you got, Jen?
Before we move on, we have some British feedback for you,
Ooh.
Tina. So Northerners have short vowels rather than long vowels. Okay.
Oh.
Maria also says, I just love how Jen said mom to mom, and they sound the same. They both sound the same. Well, okay. If I'm really going to if I'm going to pull out my Midwestern accent, it's mom.
Ma'am.
And if I'm going to say ma'am, it's ma'am.
Ma'am.
So they get right to the back of your throat, like
Yeah.
to make your tonsils move.
Now, I do like to call my mom my mama. Sometimes I will say mama. But
If you want to see an example of it, though, Tina, have you seen Vera, the show?
Yes.
Okay, that one, it is so, like, every single time when they're talking to her as the DCI, whatever she is, she's mom. But as soon as they're talking to their mother, it's ma'am. So, yes.
Is it bad that when I watch British shows, I usually put the words up underneath it? They're still, we're speaking the same language, but
It depends on the show. If there's like a more Scottish, like, brogue to the English, I have to have the subtitles sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it though. I love accents. They're like songs to me. It's
Mhm.
different music. I just love them so much.
Me too.
All right. So moving right along, Miss Rhonda, what did you come up with these 5 words?
I didn't come up with much. It's not a complete story as usual, but I got a phone call in the middle of it, and I still got my obligatory 250 words.
I'm so glad
Yay.
you said that because I spotted the phone call. Because
Yeah.
I'm writing over here and I like, got something coming and I was like, I was gonna nail you. Like, so I'm glad you brought.
I learned as a child, admit what you did first before the paddle comes out.
Oh, I should have learned that.
Good night.
All right. He has a habit of teasing me about my lack of experience with loud machines. The noise can't hurt you, he says, putting his callous mitts on my shoulders and nudging me toward the machine. I allow him to push me closer to the monster, but my eyes are clamped shut like a little kid. If I can't see it, it can't hurt me, right? Even with my eyes closed, the glow of the machine gave its presence away. I cracked my eyes open and allowed myself a little glance. I knew what to expect because I watched them unload it from the trailer yesterday, but I didn't know it was going to metaphysically pull me toward it. It was engulfing me in its own school blush yellow aura. The name, Cub Cadet, transported me back in time. At first, I could see myself and my brother, around 5 years old, riding atop the hood of a very similar tractor around the old homestead, Grandpa giving us one of the greatest thrills of our young lives to that point. Another memory pushed in, that of my first time mowing my parents' lawn, and my brother doubled over, writhing on the ground, holding his guts in from laughing so hard at me. He thought my pattern in the grass, which looked about as straight as a snake's track, was hilarious. I had to laugh at myself too when I noticed the one line that looked like a horseshoe. I may have been trying to chase a butterfly when that one happened.
Good
Very
use of a
good.
horseshoe.
For
Great
a minute there, I thought she had run over her brother at the
I was
lawnmower.
hoping that's what the thought would be.
Like
Yeah.
he's holding his guts in, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what
Like I
did she
didn't think about
do?
it.
I love that she's terrified. I love calloused mitts on my shoulders, shoving me toward my fate. Like, I mean, I am this girl. Like, no, I don't want to. Even if you think your fear is unreasonable, like, I totally felt that. That was really good characterization as usual, Rhonda, for
Shoving her
sure.
towards the monster.
The
Love
monster.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Really, really excellent word choices, Rhonda. I mean, you might not come up with quantity, but it's always quality from you. Very excellent word choices.
Thank you.
Gigi says, Rhonda, your characters are so real. Agreed. Yeah. Yep. And Piper says, that was great, Rhonda. Agreed.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, I love
Awesome.
Rhonda's stuff.
Okay, so now we are again looking forward to reading your sprint. So set a timer for 15 minutes and write your best story using the 5 words today. We'll be happy to read them. Moving right along to the what's next. We would like to go once again around the table and find out what's happening next in the lives of the hosts today. So Rhonda, I'll ask you again. What's next for you this week, Rhonda?
Well, Jamie, I am going to be working on this second workbook, and this is going to be based on, what is the next one we're doing? Oh yeah, it's on mysteries. That's right. So it's going to be basically the same workbook, except it's going to be focused on tropes that belong in a mystery.
Nice.
So that's our project for this week. And then also I'm still plugging along on my nano project. So that one, instead of me trying to get it out on a super quick deadline, I'm just kind of taking my time. The heat really messes with me. If it gets over 80 degrees, then my body just starts shutting down, sort of my brain, first of all. And so it's hard for me to write very well when it's hot like this. But
okay, awesome.
my
And so when you come to office hours, what you're going to be working on the new book?
Yes, actually, for the next couple of weeks, I've got my office hours segmented into half-hour sections, and I've got a particular job I want to get done in each of those half hours.
Oh, that's wise.
Oh.
I mean, it
Yeah.
helps you to make office hours work for you. Excellent.
And it is. Oh,
You're so
really
organized.
well.
Tina
I mean,
says wistfully.
It's working. It's
You need to
working.
come over here and be my personal assistant.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Well, what is going on with you this next week, Bambina? What's going on?
Same old, same old. I'm gonna try to make it to office hours every day, instead of writing at 1 a.m. And I really need to get my sleep schedule back on track. It is so messed up. Like I sleep for 3 hours at a time, and then I get up, and then I sleep and then in the evening when my husband's home, I can't stay awake. The poor guy. He just gets to sit here and watch me sleep. I'll be in my chair watching TV with him, and I'm out. And so then, of course, at bedtime, I'm not tired because I just slept for 3 hours in front of the TV. So it's just all messed up.
It's so funny to try to fix your sleep schedule because it's almost like this self-inflicted torture. So you're trying to fix your sleep schedule. So you're like, okay, if I can just make it till 8 o'clock, then I can go to bed or whatever. And it sort of feels like this weird, strange torture thing you're doing to yourself. But then it's so satisfying to get it figured out. Do you have a plan in place, or are you just going to try and see if it shakes itself out in the next few days?
I don't really know. I'm thinking about it. And I think once we get off this whole stay at home and life goes back to normal and we have like normally scheduled stuff where we have to actually get up and get dressed and leave the house for, that's going to make it easier. But right now, like the days and nights are just kind of all mushed into each other because we're not going anywhere.
Well, I encourage you to keep up that level of self-awareness because, sleeping away your life can be a sign of depression. And I just want to kind of throw that out there for everybody to just take some time to be aware, take good care of yourself, and don't be afraid to reach out to somebody because, depression is real, suicide is real, and all that kind of stuff. But we don't think that's what's going on with you, Bambina. We know your sleep has been tied with your health and all of that. Are you able to use your CPAP?
Some nights, and then some nights my sinuses are too clogged and I can't breathe with it on. So,
all right. Well, we'll pray for you that it kind of gets all sorted out by the next time we're together, right?
Yeah, I need to get a full face one, but unfortunately, I can't get an appointment right now with the respiratory therapist because you have to be fitted. Oh. So that has to wait till the whole lockdown thing is over also.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to better days of sleeping and resting, and we'll pray for that for you, Bambina. What's next for you this week, Jen?
Well, did you see that in the chat that Piper's asking about office hours?
I was gonna let me skip through the chat for a bit. That's exactly what I was gonna do. Is gonna go through people's WhatsApp. Piper says that her WhatsApp is getting that newsletter written and sent and celebrating her wedding anniversary of 29 years.
Wow.
Can you guys explain office hours? Yes, we can. We have an entire episode on it too, if you'd like to go back and watch. But office hours are something that we have come up with where we are accountable to each other. We set hours Monday through Friday where we have to show up. And in those time periods, we do writing sprints, we do other accountability, we chit chat. But it's similar to like the water cooler, like the water cooler effect we talked about. The fact that as a writer, you could be a very solitary kind of alone kind of a thing. And if we had a real job, we would have to go to it at regular times. And so this is our real job and we take it seriously. So we set hours that we show up for, and we have to work during those times.
I feel like we should say that we do it on Google Hangouts. So like we're on camera and we see each other.
Right. So Google Hangouts, you can't really access anymore. We have a backdoor way of doing it.
It still works somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
They shut it off.
A link that we kept, like we bookmarked it, and it still works. So we can't record or anything like that, but we show up. But there's lots of other ways of video chat, Zoom and other things. So really, it works for us because if someone doesn't show up or can't show up, there's still two others. There's generally at least one other person. So you could do it with just one person, but having like 3 to 4 is about perfect. And it works for us. So that's what we do. But yeah, go watch that episode when you have time, and then let us know if you have any more questions, because we could always revisit that topic for sure.
Yeah. And I would like to say, if anybody out there is motivated to start just regularly showing up to some office hours somewhere, and they want to extend that link to others, other writers that they know, maybe that's a way that they could just have some accountability. I considered something like that just as kind of I'm going to go live, every whatever day, but I'm just not reliable enough to do it. So somebody with a more reliable nature could really do well, I think, to kind of start an online writing group sort of a thing right now, to where it's like, I'm going to write every day from 2 to 4. Who else would like to write every day from 2 to 4? And then, that's kind of how you can start just making sure you're spending the time in the chair every day.
And it's great because we'll be writing and we'll do sprints, but then also we'll have breaks because I believe in the Pomodoro method and general. So anyways, just this week, we interrupted each other to ask questions of each other that were very helpful. Like I asked Rhonda a question about morticians in the early 1900s. Is she an expert? No, but she's very much in history. And so she's going to look into that. There's often I'm asked questions about where do quote marks go and things like that, because when you get a group of writers, generally you all have different strengths. So it helps when you get together.
Ooh, Sage is already doing Tuesday live on YouTube. So that's good to know.
Wait, what?
She's apparently does a Tuesday TOOSDAY streams on YouTube once a week. So maybe that's something y'all could check out, help you with your accountability, and it would guarantee you would at least write on Tuesday. So way to go, Sage.
Where do we find that?
I don't know. I guess you'd have to Google it. She mentioned it in the chat.
Okay.
Maybe somebody in the chat could post a link.
They can't post links. We have to. So
okay.
if Sage, if you want to tag us in a tweet or in something that we can retweet and everyone else can find that, that's great. If you're listening or watching this and you do not follow us on Twitter and Instagram, you should.
I think it's amazing how you just spit out the word retweet like that. I'm very impressed.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Okay,
I can't say that either.
We're running short on time. I can only hit a couple of these, so I'm just going to randomly pick some. Gigi says, "What's next? Filling out my new workbook.
Yay!
I love it. Helping already. I have a mess of notes and have wasted so much time trying to find what I need." Oh, that's so great. I love that. Robin says, "What's next is surviving launch day tomorrow. Yay! Congratulations on launch day. That's awesome.
That's huge."
And the last one, Maria says, "First of all, I'm passionate to clarify how Northerners pronounce mum. It sounds like tum, gum, some, etc. Obviously."
But see, we only use it when we're talking about a flower. That's the whole problem. We don't call our mom. Like, remember Outback had that Mother's Day Steakhouse commercial? "There is no one in the world like mum, even when she swats you on your bum. Mum's the word, and so the word is mum." That's the only time Americans ever use the word mum to mean their mother. We normally are talking about a chrysanthemum, and we're shorthanding it. Just got to say.
Yeah.
Well, I feel really proud that I pronounced it mum when I was reading it, and I got the Northerner part right. So I'm feeling happy.
Yeah. So, but how does she know we pronounce tum, gum, and some the way that she wants us to either? We are from Michigan, so.
My daughter will intentionally exaggerate her Midwestern accent sometimes, and I'll be like, "What?" She'll be like, "What?" Dad. I mean, it's just hilarious. Anyway, okay.
What's next is that I would like to proudly announce that I made it to office hours every day.
Yay!
Except Monday, which I thought was a holiday. I thought we were all taking Monday off, so I didn't show up. But I was there every day, and I'm progressing. The book I'm in a section that's not hard. So it's very fun to edit right now, but I can see that I'm coming up to a part that's going to be hard. So we'll see how I feel next week about this. So what about you, Jamie?
Oh my goodness. My what's up is that I actually like my book that I'm editing. I can't even believe it. I am like, I would read this book. I am falling in love with my book. It's amazing. Yay. I have not been so desirous to get a book finished and published probably ever. Well, not since I originally published, because again, that came out and I threw it up there and I didn't overthink it. And I've realized that I feel like when I've done my first draft, I've told the story, and then going back to edit the story is like just polishing it up. I forgot that I'm still free to pants as much as I want when I go back to edit. I can change the whole universe that my characters are living in during the edit. There's nobody to stop me. Right. And it doesn't mean there will be more work to do later, because when I'm making the changes, it's just revealing the story the way that it needs to be told. And as I continue on, the rest of the pieces are going to fall into place. So it's just been really liberating to feel like you can still pants while you're editing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm feeling really excited about this book.
So I would like to, I would like to throw an idea out there too, Jamie, because I know how much you love marketing and promoting yourself and your books. She hates it. I would love for us, even as an experiment, maybe for the podcast, I would love us to do like an actual launch strategy for this book and then see if you feel different about it. So let that marinate in your mind. I know, but I know. But
Don't
you
The
vomit
want
on
part
the
I
show.
don't like, okay, here's the deal. So I've been like playing the guitar and singing. I don't like the cult of personality. I don't like, oh, Jamie Hirschberger is a brand. Like, no, like, I mean, buy my book, like my book. I don't want it to be about like author Jamie Hirschberger. Like, I just don't like that part of it. Do you understand what I mean? So as we move forward, you guys can understand a little bit more of why I might reject some strategies and embrace others, because I just really am not comfortable with being like the celebrity angle of it. Gags me. So I will ruminate on that. Let's consider a little seed that's planted. And if we can maybe work through it together, that would be super fun, because then you can show that even people who hate the idea of marketing their books can do it. Plus, I would get all kinds of free advice. So who's going to turn that down?
and it might, maybe others can learn from it too. That's kind of what I was thinking too. And I know how you feel about that. So I would love to try to do it from an angle where you don't feel like it's gross, you know?
Great. You know what I'm sad about? Way once upon a time, you found the best book cover. It was like a $15 book cover, remember? And what's
Mhm.
interesting, our chatter is named Sage. And I'm like, oh, she's going to like it that my main character's name is Sage. It's been that way. Like, I wrote this last year. So I think it's fun that now I have like a real life Sage who's going to read about a character who's that got her name. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to play around with. Let's explore that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we get everybody's what's next? Because I'm feeling my coffee this morning.
All of us, right?
Awesome. Okay. So any other thoughts to share about readers of the Elusive Arc, or any other things to share from the chat? No? All hearts clear? All right. Well, in that case, this concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next week, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.